What's going on? My name is Marcus Barnett. I'm a project manager and owner of the BC Network. And welcome to episode 4 of my 5 episode series on project management, right? Why you need a project manager, what can a project manager do for you, and all the ways that a project manager can improve your life, right? But before I get into that, I just want to take some time to say, you know, man, this is my fifth video in a month, right? And I've been putting out content and I've been posting and I'm kind of proud of myself. I've only been doing it for 1 month. It's not the hardest thing, but it's also not the easiest thing. And I think the biggest thing is creating habits. So I got a book club, and in the book club, we're reading Atomic Habits. And one of the biggest things is like getting 1% better. So, like doing things that put you in an advantage to be successful, playing the field correctly, being prepared for opportunities. And when you do that, it's all about like how do you have those habits to get you into that, that position. Also, I'm at a point in my life where I don't care. Like I don't care what it looks like as long as I do it and I'm doing it to the best of my ability. Now, I'm going to continue to get better. What I've learned and what I understand over life is that it don't matter. The more you do things, the better you'll get at it. Consistency and repetition is the true key to being successful and great, regardless of what you're doing. Shooting free throws, running routes, like the more repetition, the more consistent you are, the better you'll be. And that's just a fact. So, thanks for tuning in. Subscribe to my channel on YouTube. Podcast is coming with it. It's going to be a mixture of podcasts along with like informative videos. Like I'm gonna try to give as much content as I can. I'm a project manager, so I'm really trying to grow my business. I'm trying to give out as much free knowledge as I can, and eventually, I'm going to get into ways of you can do things yourself. But until then, we'll see how far this can go. But I want to get back to what I was talking about. So the last 3 episodes, you really saw me talk about like why you need a project manager, what's important, time and savings, right? And a lot of those things are really important for your business or just for your life growth. So if you're living at home and you're trying to figure out what are my plans to get an apartment or what are my plans to own a house, like a lot of that has to do with how do I project plan my life. So these project planning methodologies and processes that I'm teaching you can really help you just later on in life and how you can continue to grow and build on your own, right? So this doesn't have to be specific to business, but you can be the project manager of your own life. And it's really just that simple. But let's get into the next episode. It's how a project manager can help you scale your business, right? How can they help you grow your business? And again, being a project manager is a big deal when it comes to how do I learn to execute? How do I get people to the next point, right? So that's always huge. And I'm glad that I'm able to kind of give you some key points on what that looks like. Why is it risky scaling your business or your life without a project manager? Sometimes when you're growing, it exposes broken systems. What does that mean, right? So if I have a group of 10 people that I work with, and now I'm moving to a group of 50 people that I work with, what I was doing with working with 10 people might not work the same that I have when I'm growing with 50. And sometimes those systems that you're using need to be better, improved. And you got to look at calculate what's the risk to this? How can I get the most out of this? Because when you might lose money thinking you're going to grow, right? To 50 and improve, but you're actually going to lose money because when you get to 50, you don't know how to sustain. And now you're actually dishing out money or you're losing money and potential opportunity. And people are dropping off because you don't have the systems in place to really accept that. So that's pretty big. Without proper like designation and planning. So if I don't know where I'm going, business owners burn out, they drop out. Like if I don't know what's happening with my business and I'm trying to do everything and I've seen a little bit of money and I've seen a little bit of success, but I want to kind of grow and I'm trying to do it on my own. Like I'm not trying to pay no the people that need to do the things that they need to do. Then I kind of get to this point of burnout. So I'm trying to do everything myself. I'm trying to solve every problem. I'm trying to fix every issue and I can't. So sometimes you just burn out. You just kind of check out of it. I'm sure people have felt that before. And then many small businesses scale too fast. And I think that that's a natural thing because a lot of people do desire to grow quickly. And when you're having business and when you have people that are really, motivated to grow, get money, and be the best that they can be, you try to go to that next level faster and faster and faster. In reality, you're not ready to understand everything it takes to get to that next level. So going from having one client to 10 clients looks different if I'm trying to reach those 10 clients, right? Do I have the platform for that? If I have the platform, do I have the correct platform for that? Do I have the key metrics that I need to identify? Do I have a business plan that identifies everything? Like all that stuff needs to be accounted for when you're trying to grow your business, when you're trying to take it off to the next level. So that's just the truth and the reality of it, right? And then you risk losing your service quality. What does that look like? You risk losing how well you're doing. Sometimes, if I'm not prepared to grow that fast, I kind of check out. I don't really do the small things that I need to do to make sure that people are successful or satisfied in their receiving service. They're not satisfied in the quality that they're getting anymore. And I'm kind of shifting my approach to it. For example, and I don't know if this is 100% true, but you can kind of just use your imagination. When McDonald's started, I'm sure they're using 100% real beef and all this other things, right? But as their business grows, I don't know if they are thinking about, well, how do we get more cows or how do we get more meat sources and identify how to use that meat source to grow to 100 million thousand people, right? Whatever. But on the contrary, is it the fact that they just continue to grow and grow and grow and then had to start thinking about, well, now we're losing the quality in our meat? I'm sure that when if they started with chicken nuggets, it wasn't just chicken nuggets, right? Maybe that you don't have to, maybe you don't afford to, maybe you can't afford to get the real chicken nuggets because of the scale of your business. Maybe it's growing too fast and you want to continue to grow, but that's push growth. They might even know, understand it. They just don't care about it. Regardless, you're dropping the quality of the service. And when you grow that much, you can drop the quality of service. McDonald's can sustain that because they're also a high powered Fortune 500 company. But on the other side of that, a lot of businesses can't. You can't afford to go down on quality because people are probably coming to you if you have that quality. For a lot of small businesses and medium-sized businesses, like that is your niche. Your niche is that I have this quality, I have this service, I have this customer care, and that's what draws you in because you're likely going to be paying more here than you would somewhere else who doesn't necessarily care about quality but can get the job done, right? So that's why it's important to consider those things. A project manager doesn't just manage your tasks, but they help you create a sustainable way to live and to grow and to excel. And I think that, or that's important when it comes to project management. So I told you why it's important, or I told you why it could be hard scaling without a project manager. Now I want to tell you how can you grow with a project manager, right? Process and optimization. So with process and optimization, project managers just identify workflows. What is a workflow? A process that you take from point A to point B. So, for example, if I work at McDonald's and I do fries, I take out the bag of fries, I put the bag of fries in the pan in the fryer. I put the fryer grease on. I put the pan in the like it creates the workflow of how things need to go. Because you can imagine if I work at McDonald's and I don't know the process, I might take the fries out before I turn the oven on or before I turn the grease on. And what can that do, right? Now I got cold fries that are waiting to that are waiting right here, but I gotta turn the grease and the grease gotta warm up, right? It's just creating a work process or a flow that is consistent in the approach and that can improve the quality, that can improve the service, right? And it just can help you with this before you want to scale. So if I'm going to get 10 cooks, I want to make sure that they know what they're doing. So I'm going to create a workflow or a process that they can follow that is consistent. So also delegate and support. Like, how do I help you delegate your support? That's when you have staff or you have support systems and you have other people, but you don't ask them to do the things you need. You have a team, but you don't know how to identify the team's responsibility. And I think a lot of times people have teams, they have people that want to help, know how to help, but they don't know where they need to put them in to help. So that's assessing your team's responsibility capacity. Your this is this is assessing your team's ability to take on responsibility. So I'm just looking at the way that you can take on any responsibility. What are you good at? What are you not so good at? Right. And when you assess that, when you assess what someone's good at versus what someone's not so good at, as an owner or someone who is working on the business, when you're doing that, you get to say, I can put a responsibility on you. I can say that I want you to do something, and I have confidence that you'll be able to do it. What we don't like is when we put things in people's hands, but we don't know if they can do it or not. But we need help. So it's like, hey, I need help, so I need you to just help me out with this. And unfortunately, that's not the best way to success. And if you're trying to scale, you need people who are efficient in what they're doing to be successful. Right. So they got to be able to be like, oh, I know exactly what I'm doing. Oh, I know exactly what I need, what you need from me. And I can give you exactly what you're asking for. But a project manager comes in and helps you identify that, structure that, and put on those responsibilities to you, right? They put on those responsibilities to them. They help you allocate those resources. And then automation implementation. So, automation implementation is literally what it sounds like: automating systems and then implementing those systems. So, for example, I use payroll all the time because I'm actually working on a payroll process that I helped automate for a business, right? So, going from self or reporting payroll on your own to identifying a proper system and then to implementing that system. That is something that I help them work or help them with, and they as a owner don't have to do that. That's me doing it and making sure that it works correctly. But now when you have to do run payroll every 2 weeks, your payroll is run and it's automatically run, and you have the proper tools in place where you don't have to look over your shoulder, or you don't have to receive a text saying I did not get paid, which is is a reality of a business person because you're doing so many things. It's hard to make sure everybody gets paid on time unless you have a system. And what happens when people don't get paid on time? They don't like it. What happens if you don't get paid on time, right? You don't like it. So the reality is you're trying to make sure that you're improving your conditions to help make sure that they're able to do their jobs as employees. And that is automating those implementate or automating those processes that can quickly get done and you don't have to think about. But I'm also here to help with supporting it. I'm also here to make sure there's no compliance issues. I'm really here to make sure that you can do everything you need from point A to point B and it can be all done. We also help to make data driven decisions. So, like, we use a lot of data to figure out what is the best decision. So, one of the things that I do is I create a lot of key metrics. Key metrics are just things that we can identify that we can collect numbers on. So, for example, if I can put a due date on something and I can put a start date on something, I know how long it takes for something to start and get completed. That's a key metric. From start to completion, that my timeline, I can use that as a key metric. It takes 45 days. So on average, I can say, well, it takes 45 days for us to start something. Well, that's taking too long. I'm paying people by the month and I want to get results by the month. And I can say that to someone rather than just say, you're just doing it, right? But if I could say it's taking you 45 days on average, you can say, you know what? I can improve that. And I can go from 45 to 30 days. But with data, you can make those decisions. For example, or everybody in my program really loves everything but the fact that they have to do this small piece of information. They're like, I hate that. It's really not cool. I really don't like it. You can really just make the determination like, do I need to keep that piece there? Then you can say, let's make a decision based on the importance of this. Now let's talk about the importance, right? And then we could take that out. It's not that important. Then, or we could put it in and then we can explain to people why it's important. And that way, when they're doing the thing that we're asking them, they're not feeling like they don't need to do it or they don't want to do it or it's daunting. They just know that, you know what? I see why I have to do this, regardless if I like it or not. It's important. So I'm going to get it done. Right. But that is just small things that you can do to make decisions to say, what should we do here? And I help to create all of that. So those are just some of the reasons why, project management is important. There's some of the things that you're risking, like when you're trying to grow, when you're trying to scale, right? But also when you have a project manager, these are some of the things you can really be great at, right? And preparing the landscape for growth is so important. You want to make sure that you're preparing the landscape for growth because I want to be successful. I want to be all these things. I want my business to thrive. But what you don't want to have is a business that's thriving and you don't have anything under it that can hold it up. When you create a foundation, you can hold it up. So I'm gonna tell you guys, a lot of you customer relationship systems, those are important. CRMs, They're important because you need to collect data. You need to have ways to communicate with people. You need to have ways to store information. And that's things like Square. Using Square, you have a CRM that has customer information and it collects data. Some people don't have Square. They do things on Sheets, which is free and which is not a big problem, but it creates more steps. If I want to use Square, I can just send out a mass email communication to all the people that I need to, right? In my system. But if I don't have that, then I have to manually start doing things. And it just creates more time that you need to focus on scaling your business rather than if I had a CRM system, if I implemented something and created it and it worked really well, I can allow that to run my business in that aspect, and I can use my time to prepare something else or to actually provide the service or to find somebody to provide the service, right? So it's just really focusing on how can you use the things that you know, and as a project manager, how can I help you improve upon those things and prepare so that you can scale and grow? And what is scaling and growth looks like, we can forecast, we can say you're going to need this at this point, but it all starts with having a project manager. So I'm currently providing a customer service approach to things right now. I'm providing 30 days for free project management services, and then we can talk about whatever support you need after that. But I only have one more slot left. I've had 5 slots. They're all taken. So I have 6 full slots and they're gone. This is the last one, right? So I only have capacity for 6 right now. It might open up in the future, but I'm going to make sure I get everybody's work done within this next 30 days. I've already had 3 people convert over and that I'm working with them on the daily. So we're doing a lot of good things and I've really helped them tremendously. I'm talking about taking people from, not having a foundation to a growth foundation, job descriptions, making sure that they have things in process, making sure that they have payment systems, making sure that they have workflows and processes, right? I've been doing it and I'm going to continue to grow. So if you, I got, like I said, I have one more slot and then I'm going to kind of shut down on the free 30 days. All right. Once I get that one more slot done, I'm going to shut it down for a little bit. I'm going to still give free game on here and support whatever I can here. If you ask me questions, I'm always down to, answer questions. I might start going live on Instagram at some point, but yeah, if you got any questions, reach out to the BC Network. My name is Marcus Barnett. I'm a project manager. I am the owner of the BC Network, which you'll learn more about as well. But yeah, like and subscribe to the channel. Send me a request on Instagram, whatever it is. Let's stay in touch. All right. And I'll talk to you soon.